It's 4:45 on a Friday afternoon. A user can't print again. There's a client presentation due Monday morning, and your manager already knows about this situation. But you've seen this driver issue before. You know exactly what it needs. So you head over to Google, find the download, and run it. You're done in 10 minutes. The user is happy, and you move on with your weekend. No one would call that reckless. And in fact, most people will call it good engineering. But here's what happened after you left. That driver came from a third-party site, not the manufacturer. It installed clean, with no warnings and no alerts. But what it also installed, silently, was a persistent backdoor. And you were logged in as an administrator, something that happens all the time because it's just faster that way. The backdoor inherited all full system privileges the moment it ran. By Saturday morning, that driver had installed a persistence mechanism that survives reboots, modified system files, disabled endpoint protection, and used your cached credentials to move laterally to other systems on the network. By Sunday night, it had touched everything in the network. And by Monday morning, the client presentation is the least of anyone's problems. Here's the thing. You weren't being reckless. You were being efficient. The pressure to fix things quickly is real. The instinct to just handle it is also real. Admin access should be a deliberate act, not the default state. The habit of staying logged in as admin because the alternative adds extra steps, well, that's real too. Most incidents start because someone made a completely reasonable judgment call under pressure.
That was you.
And the guardrails to absorb it weren't there. Not because they just didn't know any better. That's what we're talking about today. There's a version of Friday afternoon where you're logged in as a standard user. That same malicious installer runs, but it can't touch system services. It can't disable protections. It can't move anywhere. It's annoying, it's contained, but it's not an incident. The blast radius of this mistake, this attack, is directly tied to the privileges under which it runs.
If you're not already doing something that requires admin rights, you shouldn't be running as admin.
Elevate when you need to, drop back down when you're done.
This also means only using global admin when you need it, not for checking email. And it also means never using a domain admin account except for logging into the domain controller.
Production systems are not in place to find out if something is safe. The instinct to test a fix on a broken thing makes sense. That's where the problem is. But production endpoints and servers aren't built to absorb unknowns. When something goes wrong there, it doesn't stay contained. It has pathways to everything else in the environment. If software hasn't come through an approved source or gone through your normal validation process, it belongs in a sandbox or a lab first. If you don't have one, that's worth escalating, because the alternative is using production as your test environment, and the cost of a bad outcome there is orders of magnitude higher. Process exists for exactly the moments when you don't think you need it. Nobody bypasses processes when they have plenty of time and there's low stakes. They bypass it on a Friday afternoon when there's pressure and a user waiting and the fix seems obvious. That's precisely when it matters the most, because that's when the conditions for a mistake are the highest. If a change isn't documented, stop. If the source isn't verified, stop. If you're about to skip a step to save 15 minutes, ask whether those 15 minutes are worth the risk. And if the answer is genuinely unclear, escalate it. That's not a failure. That's a process working. We talk about attackers like they have to find a way in, but most of the time they don't break in. They get handed access, often by a process that was skipped, a privilege that was left open, or a tool that wasn't verified. The goal of production discipline isn't to slow down. It's to make sure that when something goes wrong, and something will eventually go wrong, the damage is limited to one machine, one session, and one mistake. This week, if your admin is default, change it. If you're not sure a software source is approved, don't install it. Ask first. And if you're about to make an undocumented change under pressure, pause and escalate. Not because someone told you to, but because you've seen what happens when the guardrails aren't there.
Thank you for viewing our technology tip video. We want to remove the burden of IT from your plate so you can spend your time growing your business. So call us today at 585-343-2713 or visit our website, mcpinc.com, and schedule your free no-obligation technology survey.